I'd like to call the December 12th, 2023 Village of Lake Park Council meeting to order. Councilman Joe Scaldero will lead us in the invocation.
Heavenly Father, as we gather here today under the vast sky that blankets our village, we invoke the spirit of unity and understanding. In the presence of diverse beliefs, we seek a shared purpose that transcends the boundaries of individual perspectives. Let this gathering be a testament to the strength that lies in our collective wisdom and the commitment we share to nurture the well-being of our village. With open hearts and minds, we call upon the forces that bind us together: respect, compassion, and shared responsibility for the prosperity of our community. May the decisions made in this council chamber reflect the values that define us, foster an environment where every voice is heard and every perspective considered. In this moment of communal meeting, let us set aside our differences and recognize the common ground that unites us as residents of this cherished village. As we deliberate on matters that shape our shared destiny, may we draw inspiration from the resilience of our forebears and the vision they had for a thriving and harmonious community. We pray for our nation's military, law enforcement, and first responders as they work to keep our nation and world a safer place. Let us embark on this deliberative journey with a commitment to the greater good, knowing the decisions we make today will ripple through the fabric of our village, shaping its futures for generations to come. Amen.
Thank you, Joe. As you are able, please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public comment? No public comment. Okay, move on to approval of the minutes. In your packet, you received the November 14th regular session and the November 14th closed session. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Mark has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Bruce has seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes have been approved. You also received a copy of the agenda for this evening. Are there any requested changes to the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion. I'll go ahead, Joe.
Joe has made the motion. Is
I'll
there-
second.
And Steve has seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda has been approved. Moving on to oaths of office. Next, we will have new mayor Jeremy Russell take his oath of office.
I, Jeremy Christopher Russell, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and its constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as mayor, so help me God. Thank you. Just one time, Bruce Barton, would you come forward? Read it, read it, read it. That's easy.
I can read it.
All right.
All right. I, Bruce Barton, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as council member, so help me God.
Congratulations. Judge Strawberry?
I, Joe Scaldera, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which they may be established for the government thereof, that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I will faithfully discharge my duties of office as council member, so help me God.
I, James Rector, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution, the laws of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers of the authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as council member, so help me God.
At this point in time, Jim, we'd like to recognize Mayor Cleveland for his service to the village. As you can see there on the screen, David served on the Common Area Task Force from 2008 to 2009, served as a council member 2009 through 2014. He was on the UDO Task Force, which kind of shaped the UDO, which is our large ordinance that encompasses about everything that happens in the village from 2011 to 2013. Served on Park and Recreation, chairing that for most of this time from 2011 through 2021, and served as our mayor from 2014, April 2014 through tonight. David's done a tremendous amount of work and just good deeds for this community, things that a lot of people never even saw, because that wasn't him to boast about. Yeah, I was amazed that as we moved in here and I started hearing things and seeing things that he was doing, that it was just like, man, he's really is a good guy. Quick, for instance, we hadn't lived in our house very long, and garbage truck chipped off our concrete, and I poured some out there myself, and I spent a long time getting that concrete just right, and the garbage truck next week ran over it and chipped it off, and I've been it on Facebook. I don't think anybody does that anymore. I think that just stopped. And I was at work, and Carrie called me and said, the mayor just came over. I was like, what do you want? He came to check out that concrete and see what was going on. I said, well, what do you say? He said, you need 4,000 PSI concrete. That concrete is no good for the garbage truck. Knew right then it was right. So anyway, David, on behalf of the village, on behalf of council, we appreciate what you've done. obviously couldn't repay you, and that's not why you did it, but we just appreciate you, love you, and we want you to still be around. I know your phone, unless you change your number today, it's still ringing correctly last night. So in recognition of dedicated service to David Cleveland, Mayor, April 2014 through December 2023, Council, December 2009 through April 2014, Park and Recreation Commission, December 2011 through December 2021, we present you with this small token of appreciation.
I'd just like to say it's been a privilege and an honor to serve this community. I would like to thank the council, both the current council and all the previous councils that I've had the privilege of working with. And I see many of you here this evening. It's been a real joy. And I want to thank all the residents for the wonderful support that you've given me through the years. None of the things that we've been able to accomplish would have been possible without the support of staff, the council, and the residents that were backing it. So it's been my joy, it's been my privilege, and I thank you all very, very much. Thank you.
At this point in time, we would take just a moment and feel free, if anybody that wants to stay throughout the rest of the meeting, we should be done by 11:30 tonight. So feel free to stay, or if you need to filter out, that's fine as well.
You guys know where you rank.
Congratulations, Bill. I know you do.
Robin, we're giving away golf carts at the end. Good meeting you.
You want me to come on up right now? No. Oh, you were looking at me like.
Just real quick comments from the newly elected officials. Joe, anything?
Well, put me on the spot here. I thought you were going to start the other way.
Well, that'll be nice.
No, thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank for everybody that supported me and voted for me. It's a pleasure and an honor. Look forward to the next 4 years and working with you. Congratulations. Congratulations to everybody else.
Hello.
I just want to say that the first 4 years were a pleasure in its own way. Got a lot done, learned a lot more about the village than I thought I knew, and I didn't. And I'm looking forward to this next 4 years, with everybody, the council that we have, and Jim, and the mayor-elect, Jeremy. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Jim?
I want to thank everyone who supported me for election this year around. I look forward to working with everyone here on this council for the next 4 years. I have everyone knows, but I'll just say that I do have 5 years of sitting on council, and so I'm looking forward to working with the new council. Jeremy, congratulations on mayor, and look forward to having a great next 4 years.
I just echo what these three guys said. It's an honor to sit up here and be a part of our village. I think it's a huge testament to David, to the amount of people that were out over here tonight, those that have emailed in and called in and commented on Facebook. So somebody told me earlier, we've got big shoes to fill. We all do. And I feel like we'll do a good job. So look forward to working with everybody as well. At this point in time, we will need to elect a mayor pro tem. It's something a little bit different than we've done in the past, or at least the past couple times. we need to choose the electoral process that we're going to do this with. I sent out the link to the School of Government's website that showed the two different process choices, a motion and vote or a nomination and ballot. There was some information on there. There was some information on that link as to the reasons why or the reasons for the different ways to do it. But we do need to first decide, are we going to go with a motion and vote, or are we going to do a nomination and ballot? So it'll be up to council options.
I think it could be a motion and vote.
And I'll say that in the past, we've done a motion vote, and I'll stick with motion vote.
I'm good with a motion vote as well.
I agree. I think it'd be fine. Motion to vote, fine with me.
By consensus, we will move forward with a motion and vote. The floor is open for nominations for Mayor Pro Tem for the next 2 years.
I would like to nominate Joe Scalera for Mayor Pro Tem.
Joe Scaldera,
I'll second it.
1 minute.
Oh.
Are there other nominations for Mayor Pro Tem?
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah. Are there other nominations for Mayor Pro Tem? Are there other nominations for Mayor Pro Tem?
Can we pick from on here?
No, ma'am. Hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations?
Motion to close nominations.
The motion to close nominations, would that motion also include the election by acclamation, which would mean there's only one option?
Yes, correct.
All those in favor of closing nominations and election by acclamation of Joe Scaldera as Mayor Pro Tem for the next 2 years, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations, Joe.
I, Joe Scaldera, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which they are or may be established for the government thereof, that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as Mayor Pro Tem, so help me God.
Yeah, Jim, if you'll move down here, Joe will come in there, and we will move everybody's personal belongings around.
The pizza thing?
Move those for.
First there on top one, first there on the new hands.
Item 11 on the agenda, mayoral appointments. I will continue to serve as chairman of the Park and Recreation Commission, as well as the liaison to the Sheriff's Office, Fire, and EMS, the public safety agencies. Councilman Scaldera will continue to chair the Ordinance Review Committee. He will also be in charge of lighting, electrical, and clock tower, as well as the newly formed Technology Division. Councilman Barton will be our Streets and Sidewalks Administrator. He will also be Stormwater Assistant to Cherie. He was out this week with her. We'll hear from that a little bit later on. Councilman Record will co-chair the Ordinance Review Committee, as well as the council liaison to waste collection. Our waste collection contract is up this year, so there'll be some work to do with that. Councilman Richards will be a member of the Park and Recreation Commission, as well as the council liaison to the Community and Communications. Okay. Councilman Tudor will be a member of the Ordinance Review Committee, as well as the council liaison to Planning Board. Item 12, public safety. You'll notice a little bit different on the slides, so I did include some of the information off of the sheriff's report so the public can see it. So our home alarm activations were 6 this past month, 60 general calls for service, and that's just your general police type services needs, 288 preventative patrols. That's when you see them out riding or they're checking businesses, looking at other things, 58 traffic stops and 58 other self-initiated calls. And Deputy Bailey, any comments or anything sticks out for you?
No, sir, Mayor, congratulations, everybody. Great night. Not last month was pretty good. Nothing that sticks out or out of the ordinary. And just try to keep doing what we do every month and keep Lake Park what it has been. So nothing really further to add on that.
Appreciate it. I will tell you, we commented out at, with the Christmas tree lighting. We've had great deputies, don't get me wrong, but we've got two of the best that this council has had for quite some time. Nothing against anybody else that's been here, but we appreciate everything you're doing. You guys are being seen and, it makes a difference to the community, so.
Your support is really important to us, of course, so we really appreciate all of
Sure.
it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir.
Also, I've asked the Henry Bridge Fire Department to start providing us statistics for their responses into our village on a monthly basis. They of course fully agreed. I just thought it was important to see what's happening with, this is fire and EMS as well. So they responded in November to 8 medical calls, 3 fire calls. There were 3 calls that were canceled when they were en route over here and 1 service call. And then that's their year-to-date numbers. Their report shows them both ways. So. The new fire station upgrade, just so the community is aware, construction continues up there. They're awaiting the doors and windows. They're having trouble getting those, so they can't do much more interior work until it has doors and windows. They remain optimistic for a late January opening, so hopefully that sticks on track. Finance officer report, Cheryl.
Okay, you have the November reports, and year-to-date, we are at $720,670 of revenue, which is 44% of budgeted. Expenditures are $637,176, which is 39%. So we're in the black, $83,493, which is good. During the month, I did make a budget amendment. I moved $800 to bank fees from contingency. Bank fees, you never quite know how much they're going to be charging us, but they've been pretty strong charging us each month.
Any questions for Cheryl on the monthly finance? Item B on finance officer's report is to receive the audit report. I think everybody got them out of their box. A couple of highlights that I took note of again for the community's information. So our net position change from FY 22 to 23 was 592,973. And the 3 reasons denoted in the audit report were a greater balance of POW bill. That's the funds that are used to fix our roads. That comes from state funding. Conservative spending. So it was good that our auditor sees that and recognizes it, puts it in the report. And then of course, some of the grant money that we got for the coronavirus, State and Local Fiscal Recovery Act dollars were also included in there. So on those same lines, any questions of Cheryl for the audit? And while we're on that part, do you guys want or need Kendra to come next month to speak on the audit? That's the actual auditor. So.
I thought it was pretty straight to the point and incisive, so I don't see a need for it.
I agree.
Yeah.
No,
Steve?
I'm good.
Well, okay.
And
Cheryl,
I'll just offer too, anytime you're looking at this and, you know, some account you're like, what is that for or whatever, feel free to ask me in a meeting or out of a meeting, whatever. No questions are stupid.
If it looks out of line too, I sign stuff and put the wrong account number name down sometimes, and then I'll catch it the next month whenever.
Yeah,
I see
sometimes
it.
mistakes happen on anybody's part, yeah.
All right, Cheryl, thank you for that. And budget amendment.
Last month you had given staff bonuses, and I went through the different accounts, and you had given a net bonus, and so I had to gross it up. So I wanted to do it with something concrete to stand on. So I went and looked at IRS and stuff, and supplemental payments, you're supposed to deduct 22% for federal withholding, 4.75 for North Carolina withholding, and then of course you have your regular payroll tax. So that was how I grossed things up.
The individual accounts, you'll see there, or the individual line items of payroll. And the reason that the clerk tax collector is up by 40, whatever that was, $48, I think difference, was just where we had underestimated one of the line items that the budget said. So those are all pluses we need to do, then the minus 1,400 comes, when you shake all that out, we need to appropriate $1,306 from fund balance to payroll, is that correct?
Correct.
Sure.
Mhm.
I'll make that motion to move $1,306 from fund balance to payroll.
Joe's made a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Steve second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Cheryl. Stormwater, Lake Charles. Dinner today. What is it?
Your A on your agenda.
Backwards to 13A.
Oh, see, this thing's clicker, that's how I jumped over Steve, man, you know, this clicker sometimes will push me forward, and I didn't, it's a good deal. The electronic transaction resolution that Cheryl had put together, she pulled down, Ken made some edits to it, I sent that out about a week ago to get it in front of everybody. Any comments or concerns or questions on that resolution? And that's not changing, just so that we're clear, that's not changing how we spend money, that's not changing the $1,000 threshold, that's not changing our budgetary process. That's simply getting us in line as much as can be for swiping a card. Is that, am I correct in what I'm
Pretty
saying?
much. I mean, as we talked about before, there's a consensus across the state that the way that things are set up currently from auditing perspective, it's essentially almost impossible to comply with. But this gives an even greater paper trail for auditing purposes. I think the auditor will probably like it, for to give you further, stability. And I think it's something to do that gives value to accountability and those kinds of things that you can apply to it.
And there's two things, there's a resolution and then there's also the policy.
Policy,
And the
correct.
auditor did get back to me this last, about somewhere in the last week or 10 days, and she had no problems with it.
Great.
We have got both of them at one swipe, or do you want two motions?
I probably ought to do two. First, as Cheryl's got them in her hand.
Resolution. Is there a motion to adopt the electronic transaction resolution as presented?
Make a motion to adopt it as presented.
Jim's made a motion.
I'll second.
Steve second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now the policy.
And at this point, we entertain a motion to adopt the village policy for electronic
I'll
transactions.
make that motion.
Steve made that motion.
I'll second.
Bruce has seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I need to know who made the last motion
Jim made it.
I made the motion.
Second.
for both.
No,
No, that was the
second.
first part.
Who did the policy?
I did.
Steve, did.
Steve Jobs.
Okay,
And Bruce seconded it.
thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl, thank you, and Ken, thank you for working on that.
You just start telling us when we get things wrong.
Keep it straight, Cheryl.
Sorry, but thank you for catching that, Ken. I didn't jump by it. I didn't even catch it.
This is a long agenda tonight. There's a lot of things to look over. Something.
Sure you called it, we good?
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Budget amendment is done. Item 14, stormwater. I'll give it to Sheree.
As far as an update on the Lake Charles, the sod was installed today. If they didn't quite finish, they will totally finish up tomorrow. And then Bruce and I were out today. Bruce, would you like to speak to Connie's conference
We were out
yesterday?
the day off.
Sorry. Been a long day.
Now, we met with Braxton from the engineering company. We walked around, the stone itself is sliding down into the water all the way around, some places worse than others, as you can see from some of the photos. This first one right here, the photo doesn't do it justice. That whole 90-degree section is just dropped right down in the water. The stone is all down deep in the water. They haven't really gotten back to us with a 100% answer yet. He did check this spillway underneath, he got down on his hands and knees on the spillway and make sure it was solid, that it wasn't being undermined, and it isn't, so that's a good thing. But it's kind of up in the air as to which direction to go, re-rip-wrap the whole thing, which is gonna be quite extensive, but that's all up in the air until we get a more definitive answer out of them.
Chances are it's gonna need to be sloped and then
Yeah, and one of our bigger concerns that I sent back today was, there's not a lot of property on
one
the
side.
troll side between the house, and so we'll have to, unfortunately, we do not have surveys of the ponds.
Right.
So we're gonna have to survey that pond to know, we may be talking about an easement on Mr. Troll's property to be able to address the issue.
There's not even 20 foot between the,
Him and the
this
porch.
is the side here that would be towards that property, and there's not 20 foot between there and this kind of property line, so.
And when you do a survey, you have to get your resolution to accept yourselves from the website.
Anybody's wondering, that's my mother right there.
Hi, Mama Russell.
Nice to meet you.
That resolution, didn't we adopt it at the first of the year to cover, it, or you gotta do it each time?
We have an engineering.
Yeah, I don't think it covered surveying.
Okay. I just
Yeah,
wanted.
I can't remember if it did or not. It might have, we need to look at it.
It's just really easy to do.
Sure. All right, thank you for your this. 15 Parks and Recreation information only. The Christmas tree lighting was certainly well attended, estimated over 500 people. The donut truck gave away, or they served, Lori helped me, was it 2,700 donuts? It was a bunch, 2,700 donuts that night. It was
only 6.
yeah, there's 6 mini donuts in each of the pack, but 2,700, I mean, there's a lot of donuts, there was a lot of people out there. The weather couldn't have been better despite the forecast all week for the worst day ever, and the weather probably is what drove so many people out there.
Who do you think, former mayor for talking us into keeping it?
He didn't,
You know?
yeah, we were about 90% decided to postpone, and I called Mayor Cleveland, and he said, I'd push forward. You never know what weather's gonna do next weekend, and he's right, so we pushed forward and made it happen, so. A lot of good positive comments. Just prior to the thing, Lori sent me a screenshot. Last year, there were 35 people, I think, that were interested on Facebook in the tree lighting. And there were 325 this year who had clicked like or interest who had clicked interest in going. So we thought we might get a crowd, and we did. So thank you, Lori. Thank you, the HOA. Please send our thanks to those folks and the village and Park and Rec as well. We did a good event. The Grinch got a hold of the mayor out there and everybody else. So it was a good night. There are a few other photos just from the event. The golf carts brought in Santa and the Grinch and Mrs. Claus. It was a fun event. Yeah. Toys for Tots wrapped up. We did have another successful drive. I don't know how many cartons we got, maybe 4-ish, yeah.
We were down this year.
Yeah, and it was some cash donations. There was not much donations at the Christmas tree lighting, but I know that he did get some cash out there, so. He was happy, but we can always do better, so we'll work on that. The Russell Pond fountain was installed, and contrary to what Ken thought, that's not a piece of concrete.
I swear I thought it was asphalt with the hole shooting water up out of it when I first saw it. I was like, oh my God. What's that gonna cost?
It's installed and looking well, so we appreciate council support for that. The village-wide landscaping is upgraded, or the upgrades are complete, and now I can say that the Bradford tree rings were finished today as well, so that was completed today. A lot of good comments from the community on those. There's still a lot of areas that need work, but PNR is just trying to plan it out and budget money as we go to be able to do the landscape upgrades. There are a few of the photos of the different landscape upgrades. You can see the bottom left is the clock tower where we took it down to more park open area, and in the front of the community center. A lot of good comments that came in about the landscape this year. We are requesting council action for some tree service, limb up 10 oak trees around Veterans Pond, remove 2 additional Bradfords that have been identified, and limb around Bobby Pond, $2,400 Kuiper tree service. Entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to spend $2,400 for tree service.
Mark's made a motion. Is there a second? Bruce second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Facility updates, community center, we've got everything scheduled. The doors are scheduled to be installed the week of January 5th. The interior painting is scheduled for the 15th, 16th, and 17th. pushed him out a week just to make sure the doors were here, but they think they'll make their door scheduled. And the carpet has been selected and ordered and scheduled for January 29th. Mattress and gazebo, we had the issue with the ceiling repaint. Frontline did let Steve know they have repainted that ceiling, and it's, that is completely behind us now. Requesting council action on a term expiration for the Park and Recreation Commission. Commissioner Corzine's term ends 12/31. I did speak with John. He does wish to continue serving on P&R. He's done a great job. He's been really helpful to us. P&R recommended the reappointment. So entertain a motion to appoint John Corzine to another 2-year term on P&R.
I'll make that motion.
Steve's made a motion.
Second.
Jim second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Our next meeting, January 22nd, we'll start working on the pool season and pool monies. Put Cheryl under the gun for a report for that. Nothing else major going on that I'm aware of with P&R. Planning board, update on the board vacancies, Sheree?
We have currently 3 vacancies, but 2 have expressed the desire to renew their terms, and that's Warren Jennings and Harrison Walser. So we look for a motion to, for them to serve another 2-year term.
I'll make that motion.
Steve made a motion. Second. Bruce second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The board vacancies, the third one is still.
The third one is open. Planning board does not meet this month, so it'll be January, so we'll be back probably February requesting a,
You have some interest?
yes.
Good.
I actually have 3 ladies that have expressed interest. So
Sure you don't need that advertised anymore?
it never hurts to put it out there. Someone might.
Okay.
But.
Council talked last month about the UDO text amendment that's been put forward from the planning board. We actually called a public hearing in January. Ken had recommended that some of us, anybody that had questions, attend the next planning board meeting to ask any questions prior to the vote or prior to the public hearing and or vote. But that meeting got canceled due to lack of a quorum. Rachel Carr is with us tonight. Welcome, Rachel. She's a member of the planning board, and feel free to talk to us about the text. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? Do you want to?
Happy to.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Rachel Carr. I haven't met all of you. We brought this text amendment request up with planning board because we had someone who wanted to build a wall, and we had nothing in the UDO to speak to walls. And we just wanted to make sure that any improvements that are done on our town members' properties, that they are in accordance with our goals with the UDO. And so we made updates related to the wall. So we've added some information. I don't know if you have them in front of you, but we added specific things that we want them. It's very similar to the ideas of the fence, but we just wanted to include walls. The second issue that we had was the fence spacing. I don't know if Mayor Leland has showed you. He didn't show it. Okay, there's a fence spacing piece that he had, and I guess we can probably bring that in. But basically, we wanted to. That's in there, right? That's for this one. Okay, I'm sorry. We wanted to shorten the fence spacing requirements so that we could be more inclusive of what would be, I guess, what the standard in the industry. So it wouldn't cost people so much to have a nice fence. We still are keeping spacing requirements within the fences because we don't want the panel fencing, but we do want to be more inclusive so that we're not having to get non-standard fencing in our town, because that's much more expensive with no real benefit. The third thing that came up to us is the improvements on a lot based on lot size. And what was happening was, if you wanted to, for example, build a pool or something like that in your property, the footprint for what you could build was based on the first level of your house. And we found that there are many lots that are much bigger in our community, and it didn't really make sense to limit the amount of space that they could use on their lot based on the footprint of the first story of their house. So a large house that has multiple stories would not be given a bigger footprint. So anyway, instead of making it based on the footprint of the house, we made it on the footprint of the lot, so that we are allowing the bigger lots to be able to do things like build a pool. And one of the reasons that we wanted to do that, it's not just pools, it's other things too, like fireplaces or anything else that would be an improvement. One of the reasons that we wanted to do it is we realized that a lot of houses in this neighborhood are not in compliance already. And so it was sort of a way to make sure that we can effectively make sure that everybody's on the same playing level of what they can build. Because instead, you know, if you see your neighbor have one and you can't, it doesn't really make sense to us. So we wanted to bring that before you.
So this would make the non-compliant ones compliant then?
Yes, it would. And it's in within reason as well. I mean, we didn't just completely take out the limit. We just wanted to make it so that lot size played more a factor into it, because the first floor of the house may be smaller, but have a lot of room in the acreage.
Just a point of clarification, the fences, all the changes on fences are wooden fences, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it makes sense to do it off lot size. I mean, that makes sense anyways. I don't know why it was set up the other way initially, but to me, it makes some more sense to do off lot size than the house size, because I don't think it was I think it was a little vague on the house size before. I know we said the footprint of the house, but some people interpret that differently, but it made a lot of sense to me to see that change in there.
Right. We just felt like it was overly restrictive.
Yeah.
So we think that this really speaks to the goals of the UDO by making these changes. We went through and really tried to clean it up a little bit, and that's what these 3 issues have done. And if anybody has questions about walls, that was where this whole conversation started. So
Walls and the use of bigger lots. Because what we're, you know, some of the big homes here on Lake Park Road and some over, you know, different places, they'll have some of the bigger lots, and yet their footprint may basically be the same size as a 10,000 square foot lot. Well, it's not fair to tell them they can't have, but all accessory structures will be figured into the percentage. So if you have a pool, a shed, fire pit, you know, depending on what if you've got a deck that's so many feet, all of that will figure in to your percentage of usage of your lot.
We know why it was set up the other way before, Sheree.
You know, there were a lot of things as we moved through that.
We learned from.
Well, you learned from, but you also, we tried to work together some with the HOA, especially, you know, making sure that we weren't being, for example, the reason it was 40% airflow on fences was because that was in the original HOA guidelines for fences. But the reality is that doesn't give you much, you know, it gives you a lot of airflow with 40%. But the problem was if the town set it at 20 and the HOA had 40, we're going to give approval and the HOA can't. You know, they're going to say you're denied. So, you know, that was one of the pushes that the HOA was hoping for in, you know, changing their, you know, their rules and all. But
I think that in some ways you have your UDO as an infant. And it's was created initially, and there was a lot of time that was spent in its initial creation. However, there just wasn't any way to, you know, go through each thing in a very finely detailed fashion to see what might work and what might not. And I think what you're finding is it's very common to other communities who have development ordinances, which is they're living creatures, so to speak. And as things come up, tend to be complaint driven. They come up, because with this one, I think it might have started with walls, but then it kind of morphed a little bit into the discussion, because the discussions if you come to those meetings, they're very thorough in their discussions. You have Rachel's modest, she doesn't announce this, but she's an attorney. You have another attorney on that board. And so there's a lot of talk, you have a surveyor on that board, and there's a lot of full discussion that goes on related to these things. And so because of their experience, things come up that once one thing's been identified, they're like, wait a second, this one seems to be off kilter a little bit. And it kind of mushrooms into, we'll have to have this happen, just 2 or 3 things that can kind of be addressed, or at least their presentation to you that they think they should be, and asking you to consider amending the ordinance because of it.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah, I mean, we did our due diligence and looking at what would be appropriate for a lot size, and we just found that those, and also like the fencing issue, we felt like it was inappropriate to have such a large spacing when it's more of a custom fence instead.
I was at that meeting where David showed his little
Yes.
picture.
Yeah,
That's what she was.
It made a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I was like,
Somebody
why would it be that
having-
wide versus?
Right,
Yeah.
and you could, like a little dog could slip through, it's just, so a lot of people have had to do the shadow box fencing for that reason, which is much more expensive. And so we just want to be more, like, still have good quality fencing, but allow a more reasonable type of fence.
Bruce, yeah.
No, clear on everything. Makes sense.
Rachel, thank you for coming tonight. Are we still on board? There was some talk of postponing the public hearing, especially since we didn't know, we weren't able to speak to anybody on the planning board, to get some answers to talk. Do we still want to have the public hearing in
I have no
January?
problem holding it in January.
Yeah, I have
We're
no
fine
problem
with
with
that
that.
in January.
Anyway, fine.
Keep it set just like. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Appreciate that a lot. Thanks.
Sure.
17 orders review committee. Joe.
Okay, well, our November meeting was pretty much just a November meeting. Won't sugarcoat it just because we had to have one. We had to have one in the quarter, it's in our charter, so we just went ahead, had a meeting, did a little discussion of how we were gonna move forward in the next year. I discussed with the members, everybody did, want to stay on and go, that'll be next month, we'll make the vote for that, for the appointments of the new, members. Now, we have changed, Bruce is, taking over doing the, stormwater with Cherie, so he's coming off. And Steve's coming on. Do we need to vote on that, or is that just like I said, okay, so we're good on that. So we'll be moving forward with that. Some of the things we discussed is just the continuation of what we're going to work on the next year, which is the looking at social districting and a nuisance ordinance. Those are the 2 things. Our big thing that we kind of put nuisance ordinance on the back burner for a while, waiting for the HOA to hopefully get their CCNRs passed, but they announced at their annual meeting, they did not receive enough votes, so it's not going to move forward. So if there's things that we want to clean up in the village, there's things that we can do that's going to be up to us. So we'll have discussions with that through our next meeting. So anybody's input on that is certainly welcome.
One of the things I was gonna ask there is, we've kicked it around. And I know y'all had some light discussion about the nuisance ordinance, and one of the questions I remember from one of the meeting house that you recorded was, well, is council telling us that they want to do that or they don't? So do you want direction from council to say?
I'd love to hear input from it. Now, we did, kind of have informal talks.
Yeah.
And on, consensus, there was a lot of interest in it.
Yeah.
I know Jim's new on council now, but I know where he stands on that, so we've got that since he's on the ordinance review committee with me. Any thoughts? It was brought up by one of our members, John Corzine, same guy, he's one of the parks, that if we looked at the new CCNRs, the UDO, and our current ordinances, we covered everything. So, if anybody wants to look between, we will not have another ordinance review committee before our next council meeting. So if anybody does want to look through maybe the suggested CCNRs that were out there, I think we can still, I think they're still online. Laura, If not, I'm sure we can get a copy of it. The CCNRs that failed?
I would, if I had to bet, I have not pulled it yet.
Yeah, so we'll find out on that and maybe just get everybody a copy, want to look through it, see what some of the changes may have been. That looked good, that you can give us some direction on, we'll be happy to listen to that.
Did it address anything on fences or mold, certain percentages.
With the new CCNRs?
Mhm.
I didn't think so.
See, when you talk nuisance, that for a lot of people, that in other towns, that's one of their big things, but it has to be very specific. It cannot be, if there's mold on your house, it has to say like, if the side of the house has 25% mold,
And a certain
then,
type of mold.
or, yeah, but, or just mold, whatever, but that, or when the fence is no longer at 90 degrees at the post, it needs to be replaced, or, you know, you're gonna have to be very detailed. You can't say, you cannot be objective. It has to be, like, if grass is taller than 10 inches, you're in violation. It can't be if your grass is tall. You know, so those are gonna be the,
So you have specifics.
I think we need you to come to our meetings.
well,
Aren't there certain things that a town cannot?
yes.
Right.
Yes, there's things that we will be hampered on that we just can't do anything about,
That's
such as
kind
color.
of- That's kind of the whole issue, which is what is it specifically,
can, what
it
you
gets into the specifics of it, what are you talking about? Is it governmentally restrictive, is it not? Just kind of depends on what the subject matter is.
The other side of that, if you start going down these certain things, you're looking at an enforcement person,
Mhm.
and how does that?
Which is all something to discuss too, if we go into that and move forward with it, so.
Yeah, I think step one is a council, at least consensus, if not vote, to say to the ordinance review committee to begin talks officially. Am I right there? That
I mean, I think you can do it one way or the other. I think that's a clean way to do it. And that way it gives that commission some direction.
right, yeah.
Yes, sir.
You good with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a motion to direct the ordinance review committee to investigate? Is that a good term?
Evaluate.
A nuisance ordinance.
I'll make the motion.
Joe's made a motion, is there a second? Steve second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, good. That'll help us with that. Thank you for the direction on that. Golf carts. We got 2 registered. I'm not gonna say who, but we do have 2.
I recognize both of those.
I have had several phone calls and several emails, and there will be several. I mean, it's not really the season for it. But we do have to look into one thing that was brought up by the new head of the contract division for the sheriff's department. He says that Indian Trail now wishes they would not have had the sheriff's department be the people to issue the permits and do the inspections on the cars, or on the carts, excuse me. The reason for that is the ever famous, oh, well, they approved it, so everything should be okay. So when the police are actually enforcing something with the cart or something wrong with the cart, say, well, I was told this was okay by you guys. They say they run into situations with that frequently, and they're looking at changing their process. So when that became an issue and something they kind of, I wouldn't say they told us to, they recommended us to.
For somebody else.
They would recommend us to do that. When that was told to me, I volunteered to be the person to inspect them. I thought I was the obvious choice because I have a little bit of background in that.
Yeah.
So we've got to decide if we want to do that. We'll have to amend the ordinance if we do. So I'm looking for consensus of council right now to tell me if we think that's a good idea. We will take that to the ordinance review committee and then make our changes on the ordinance and bring it back to be changed for minor changes.
I'm okay with that.
From a legal standpoint, you've not even heard any of this, I doubt. You,
This is the
anything
first
stand
time
out
I've
to
heard
you
it.
there?
No, the one thing that stood out to me was, it's just as everything is, once you hear it the first time, you go, oh, yeah, because I can hear it right now. Well, you told me it was legal. I mean, I can just kind of hear it right now. So I understand why there's probably some suggestion of that. I think probably for you guys, the village is so much smaller than Indian Trail that I would think the likelihood of the occurrence of that type of dynamic would be reduced. But it only takes one bad event, or one bad circumstance to create a storm, so to speak. So I think it's probably good to think about doing it. I also wanted to bring up, I was going back through some of my communications. Joe, was there an issue with defining motor vehicle in one of the ordinances, or do I remember that from a prior meeting? Were y'all looking into that? Do I remember that right?
No, what we were talking about in the previous, was the ordinances that we may have to make some adjustments to,
Mhm.
and that was, motorized vehicles on sidewalks.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. Are y'all still looking at that?
That's something.
Okay, all right,
yes,
because
and
I just
should've
wasn't
brought
sure
that
if it
up.
needed to be on my radar either, because I wasn't sure about it. I guess totally different. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was, and you know what, I'm glad you said that, because I did skip over that. There were two things that Cherie brought up to us, that it was brought up even through the sheriff's department, and that was one of them,
Mhm.
with the motor vehicles being used on sidewalks, because there's motorized motorbikes that people are riding on sidewalks. The other one was, the definition of commercial vehicles.
Mhm.
So we're gonna look into that a little bit more as well, too. Thank you, I missed that.
Well, no, I was just making sure I had this.
And the only other thing I would say is, you know, we have to advertise, every change of an ordinance has to be advertised with a public hearing. So if we can do some,
Doesn't have to.
doesn't
be,
have to, but
Depending
in
on the time,
this,
but this council has always taken the position.
Now, we've
They-
made some
they would do
changes in
that.
our ordinance before we considered small changes.
Right.
Yes, you can make depending on the ordinance,
and
there are plenty of them you don't have to have that for, but again, the standard practice around here has been, doesn't mean that can't change.
With the possibility of having three separate things, holding a public hearing probably wouldn't be a bad idea, just to throw all three of them at one time
right, if
in a
we could.
meeting, so. We'll work, that'll be our next step, like I said, is to work on those three changes and see what's going on. If we get the consensus that we need to change the golf cart ordinance.
The only thing I would say, you're saying, you could take on the responsibility of saying, yeah, your name, the golf cart passes. Now you might have someone turn around in the community and say, well, he's on council, why is he doing that? Why not have possibly you and one deputy? That way there's.
But the deputies want to stay clear of it.
Totally.
They want the sheriff's department wants the deputies to stay clear of it. And that's kind of why, because they wanted somebody separate to say that, and they'll enforce it to the letter of law.
My only concern would be is somebody's gonna be saying, well, you approved it, so.
I mean, they could use the same thing as Joe's that did the deputies, right?
Exactly.
You're kind of
Well,
reversed.
the councilman approved it, so what?
Right.
So who's that guy now?
The
I don't know.
only thing that I can say to try to mitigate some of that is to have a picture taken of the things you looked at through the dog code, and that's what has to be done. Then if there's any question, you have backup on pictures.
It's checklist, right?
I mean, but it's expected as,
done.
It's pretty basic on the checklist,
but
but yes, I mean, I guess the question would come in, one of the big things is 22-inch height from floorboard, if somebody then lifts it up or does
Right.
something to it, well, it passed, it's okay. I mean, trust me, I hear that all the time with people with window tint situations.
Yeah, I'm sure.
God, it's, we need tinted the windows. I mean, it's obvious. I hear it all the time in my business. So, I can understand that. I guess it's having two different bodies instead of it being the same one. So,
My only concern is, you being on council and people are gonna be pointing a finger saying, well, he approved it, so he's responsible, or council is responsible. And the deputies, the sheriff's department doesn't want the deputies having any part of it. Well, that's kind of a, hello, why should you be doing it then? Maybe.
Well, the deputies, they don't want the deputy to, because the deputies want to write them a ticket when something's wrong with it.
Right.
That was the reason. So the options are if somebody from council or it's a staff member that would do it. That's whenever the lieutenant talked to us that day, he said he didn't care whether, he's just a village official. Is who he said should do it. That was his recommendation, and then Captain Hunky, who now runs the Indian Trail Division, said if he had it to do over, and he had been the captain then, they would have never taken it over, and we're looking at making changes to their.
I assume the checklist has a place for the deputies sign off from and the person.
exactly.
So if they make changes to it afterwards and raise it, it's foolish on them. You had where the deputies signed off on it, that it wasn't too tall, right?
Well, that's where Jim says if they're taking photos, it kind of gives you a record. I mean, let's face it, there's not gonna be 500 golf carts in the village here. So it wouldn't be such a bad idea to have a photo of the height of the vehicle, even with a yardstick, showing that proper height. So if somebody decides to jack it up or lower it, hey, this is what was approved, you gotta go back to that, or you're knocked out of the running. Just trying to cover you all the way around, so you got enough headaches every day.
Of course, yeah, but,
Yeah, another one.
So how do we want to move forward?
Good with y'all, send it back to y'all's committee and
Well, if we send it back to the sheriffs, will have to start it. If we send it back to the committee, the sheriffs have to start inspecting.
Well, they have.
yeah, and purposely, when this all came about, I said, well, the sheriff needs to inspect at least Joe's and mine right out the gate so that nobody can say,
Right.
you know, there was any impropriety there, which, so he was here, sheriff and Joe did them together. The training session really, but, until then, yeah, the sheriff, until that point in time, we changed the ordinance to sheriff who does them anyway. That's what the
Well,
ordinance-
are they, they're not to the point where they're declining, are they? But it sounds like it sounds like you could advance to that level, which means it should go back to the committee to try to address it, right? I mean, am I assessing that
Yes,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Does the committee meet before council meets next month?
No.
Okay,
It's on the 15th of January.
the reason I was thinking that is because Lieutenant Sean Mayhew is here in council for you all to meet next month. He's the new contract person. He's over all contracts.
Okay, well, we can absolutely table that until, there's no reason to talk about it now. We can talk with him and see
Yeah.
if he persuades us one way or the other. If we listen to it, say, well, I don't think it's that big of a deal, and let's move on with it.
Yeah, and I would suggest, the committee consider consulting with them to determine how Indian Trails being directed or suggested to handle it, so that you've got some consistency between the two jurisdictions. I think that's favorable to both locations.
Well, they also have their own.
Yeah, they got an enforcement,
Captain,
yeah,
yeah.
they got, I
So
mean, I
they-
understand
they
there are,
got-
there are some things that might make us different, I
Yeah.
understand. But just in case.
All right, and we kind of jumped ahead with the nuisance ordinance we're talking about our previous meeting, so we're all set.
All right.
Thank you.
Streets and sidewalks, Bruce, anything? for tonight?
Not right now, you know, I've been collecting emails from folks. Thank you, Mark. They're sending me, which is good, I'm glad they are, you know, and I've gotten out and looked at a few. And have a few more to look at, but I really won't move forward with anything until after the first of the year, and the weather starts to stabilize above freezing more. Nothing worse than trying to put blacktop in on 30-degree weather, it's just not gonna work too well.
Lighting and electrical, Jim?
Well, just like Bruce said, I'm getting a lot of emails on lights, and I appreciate that too, and someone's from mentioning that. I like to take, when I get the emails and phone calls, I've had several of both of them. This time of year, we get a lot, when the weather starts changing, we get a lot of problems with it. I'd rather once a week send the information into them than one on Tuesday, two on Wednesday, you know?
Yeah.
And that if I'm sending them at one time, it, gets it all done at one time, and they seem to appreciate that, and they've done a really good job for fixing them for us lately.
Yeah, and the form that they use on the online, they ask the same question 3 or 4 times and they do another thing to it. It's like, geez.
Well, really, honestly, on that form, the only thing you need to put is your name and the poll number.
Yeah.
Your email address is all you really need to have on there, but I like doing it myself, because then I can, you know, put several of them in there. Candace, the girl that handles it, she emails me back on it on a regular basis. And I think I helped her out some, and we had an instance with, outside Scott Sloan's house right before Halloween, the light went out, and he was very worried about that, because it's kind of a dark corner right there, and he has a lot of, you know, a lot of the Halloween stuff out there, so the kids liked it, so I was able to send her an email and ask for a favor and call in, and Halloween day, she went in there and did it, so it works good having a relationship, and they appreciate it, so that works really good. That's with the lighting, clock tower flag light, I do have the light. I was planning on putting that in on Saturday, and I was not planning on rain all day Saturday. So that light's still in my living room. That will be done here soon, but we do have the light. That was a little bit of a fiasco. The one we had was discontinued, and it took a while, but we do have the light to fix that. And we still have, and we've had this, is probably going on for close to a year now, a light on Faith Church Road that we need to do some footer work on it. I'm working back and forth with, I finally got in touch with, one of the people that's in charge of that, Mr. Hayes, and he's gonna get the information to me for what the footer is. Bruce's Concrete people are gonna be able to help us with that. So we're hopefully gonna contract to have them fix the concrete and then put the sign, or put the light back up. On the same note, we have several of the lights that are not very sturdy, not really mounted down well. Those lights, we were thinking were gonna be problems that we're gonna have to spend a lot of money on with changing the forms on several of them, or the footers. Bruce's people do have a fix for that they think they can fix a lot of them, so a lot less expensive than having to pour concrete in it. I will be going through here once it warms up just a little bit, and, with the help of what Will Ortiz is getting me a little bit better map of the lights that we have. The map I was given when I first came on council is a map with dots, and that's it. Will said that he can, I sent him the map, and he said that he can find some information out for me. But I'm gonna catalog, if it's not, well, one way or the other, I'm gonna catalog it, and within the next few months, I'm going to have physically shaken every light in Lakewood.
Brad Hayes has a report from 2 years ago that has not changed
Mhm.
because they've not done as much work as you would have hoped they would have.
Mhm.
So I would reach out to him and ask him for a copy of that report. And if he can't find it, I'll look and see if I can't find it, because I have touched every pole in Lake Park.
I will be touching them again.
And and the ones that are loose
Are loose, yeah.
yeah, I have not been fixed.
So we're gonna work on that. That's something, the golf cart's gonna help out a lot on that. So. I will be getting that, so.
I'll just use my van.
That it, Jim?
That's it
Thank you, sir.
for that part.
Under technology, back to Jim.
Okay, we discussed at last meeting, adding a monitor right over here for everybody sitting there. It's, especially these two seats, it's really difficult to see the monitor. So I priced out what it was gonna cost to get a monitor and the accessories needed to mount it and put it up. Not very expensive. I mean, I'm sure it's a fraction of the cost that we had to pay a few years back, so I'm gonna keep it going down. This monitor right here is 65-inch. I don't know that we need 65-inch over here because it's not for everybody back there as well. So I priced out a 65-inch and a 55-inch monitor. They're looking at either $600 or $685. So, the money's not really a factor on it. Just more to put that down for the next thing. But which way do we want to go? Do we want to put a 55-inch or 65-inch monitor up?
If this is 65, I'd go with the same size over there from the standpoint, just to look.
Uniformity.
Yeah, for $85.
Yeah, it's the price difference is not much at all. So whatever way we want to go with it.
I mean, I agree, you don't think it's big up there because you're not seeing it out there, but it just would look odd.
55 is just a little bit easier to lift to put up there too. So, so the next question comes in, where are we going to fund this? We have no budget for technology this year. It's something we're gonna have to discuss at budget time. But basically, we need to find $685.
How much do I have left? Communications.
I'd have to look at the price.
There's money there, as I look, but I don't know what's encumbered, I don't know what.
I checked on that. I saw what you had in there, and I think you have enough to do that. However, I don't know how much more you have in newsletter stuff.
The newsletters.
Newsletters, $100 a month, basically.
I think you have 43.
Would also be about 200.
Yeah,
We're at 52% of $8,500, so $44,000 available-ish. That math.
Well, it depends what your contracts are and when we pay for them.
we've got
Social archive. and-
your social, how much is your social archive?
How much is what?
The social archiving and.
Oh, yeah, that, essentially the last thing over there, how much it went up to, but I can't recall, man. I have to look it up.
Yeah. So I don't know that he does have money.
I was thinking it was gonna end up being close on that. So,
Cheryl, do you just prefer if we're gonna do this, to pull money out of general fund into that line item?
You can certainly do that.
That's the cleanest way.
Yeah.
so I'd like to make a motion to take $685 from the general fund and move it to the communications line item.
Including tax.
Yes,
I'll second that.
What was the amount?
$685.
You sure that's enough?
I mean, we can go, so I did have a question for you about that with tax. If we recoup the tax, do we have to have that?
You don't have to include the tax.
685 will be fine then, I figured.
But you're sure, you know.
Make a motion for $700.
Every second.
From the general fund to communications.
I'll second $700 for it.
Joe made a motion, I think Steve seconded originally, to move $700 from fund balance to communications and newsletter. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So now I would like to make a motion to spend $685 for a new monitor mounted on the wall there that we are going to plan to do soon so that we can do it before it's the paint.
I got the money now.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
I'm kidding.
Would it be better to say up to 700?
So, yeah, I'm sorry, 700. You're right. We are planning on doing this probably within the next few weeks, so we can do it before they paint, so the painter can fix our mess ups.
Right.
So I'd like to make a motion for $700 for the monitor.
Steve seconded. All those, or any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, virtual assistant. If you call right now, it is live and working. So you call the 704-882 VOLP number, you will hear me. And the menu of several different village questions. Cherie's basically frequently asked question list, and then you go down the list. Number 6 will ring her phone. Number 7 will be Sarah Boone. Number 8 will handle all of our council members. But it really right now will only handle one, Mark. He's the only one that's actually set it up. I will resend out emails to everybody tomorrow for the setup. It's an invite, you go in there. It should be pretty simple to do. If you have any problems, I say it's simple. I've been dealing with Ring Central for probably close to 10 years, so I know everything to click. Any problems, just not tomorrow, but Thursday or Friday, give me a call and I'll help you set it up.
Yeah, Joe left me a message that came by email. And does it come any other way, like maybe text or?
Yes, there's a way you can actually, you can actually call up the main number. And when you first hear the prompt, you hit star and you put your extension number in, and it'll ask you for your password, and then you can listen to them audibly as well. We are asked to, well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter because our emails, even if you delete it, it's archived, correct?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter for the 30-day retention that you wanted on that.
Okay, I was zoning about an issue that I wanted to mention later.
You were concerned about our
retention.
voicemail
I
messages.
was, right.
Yeah, each one of our voicemail messages are transcribed to an email and sent to us.
Okay,
So we get them as voice and as an email.
and the emails are maintained?
And well, the emails are all archived,
Yeah,
so,
I think you're fine.
so we're all set on that. So if you get a chance, play with it, questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help out. This should work great, for Cherie when she goes out next week. When she's up to things, I can take it and set it up where it just rings her cell phone. And, it'll go right to her. And hopefully by then, the number will be fully ported over into the system, and then she can call back from her cell phone and make it look like she's here. So, and when I did do it today and answered it, and I hit number 6 and her phone rang, she smiled. So that means she liked she liked the technology. So it's up and running, and I think it's going to work good for everybody. It might be a few little bumpy things here. I've asked Mark, and if you guys want to do the same, change our phone numbers on the villager to the number and extension number 80, whatever everybody's extension number is, 88, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, I think it is.
Makes sense to do,
Yeah.
because you're calling a number that they have to answer it by you or go to voicemail, yeah.
And I, for one, would like having it transcribed in email because, sometimes you get.
Versus their cell phone numbers.
Mhm.
Yeah, because then you got a retention.
You can give me the extension numbers, right?
I'll email it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Get you everybody's extension
That works.
number.
Mine's nothing. So
So
don't leave me.
it's 101.
I'll call the sheriff.
Call someone who cares.
All right, anything
That's
else?
it.
Kim, did you have something on that?
Well, no, it was just, what had come to my mind, I was sitting here thinking about it, is with Jim's being back on council. Is there any training that needs to be done for any of the newly elected members, including the manager?
They do not need to take training again, because they had that, they all have to take ethics.
Okay,
They're newly elected, and that's already been.
I just wanted to make sure that was
and
on
sent,
the,
Yeah,
that was it. I didn't want to forget to mention it as a reminder.
And that's all, I should have wrote more in my email, but all online.
yes.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours online. And it's been paid for each one of you.
Is it available now or?
It should be available, for whatever reason, I'm thinking it's available after you were sworn in, so I would think so.
Not tomorrow, maybe Thursday, right?
Just send you a
Or
message.
Monday.
All right, thank you, Joe. Item 20, special project updates. I had asked Cherie and to begin giving us a monthly report on any large projects that are going on. The two right now, and probably the two that will be for a while, are the landings and Ripple Fiber. This agenda item will ebb and flow as projects come about or move on. We'll remove it, obviously, but anyway, Cherie, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So on the landings at Lake Park, after the second round of Eagle Engineering, here's the basic list of concerns that we will be addressing. They want, Eagle's concern was, is there a variance given for the encroachment of the stormwater retention pond into the required landscaping buffer? And so let me read these and then I'll come back to the proposed pond along Unionville Indian Trail Road may fall under the high hazard dam category and will need approval from NCDEQ. There are acute angles of incoming storm pipes within the Garden Path Drive right-of-ways from structure, this won't mean anything to you, but from structure A69 to A70. And NCDOT for this area said that since the site falls under the level category, the natural slope of 0 to 8, the town would have to grant a variance. Well, high hazard dam is an issue that Eagles had on several projects, and they just brought it to our attention. NCDEQ has to give their approval for the erosion controls on those. And they have already done that. They're the ultimate authority. So they've already told them that, you know, the reason it's considered a high hazard dam is because of the distance between the road and the pond. But you do have, and the other thing that all of Lake Park's ponds were built to the 25-year storm. The village is requiring the landings to build to the 100-year storm. So they have to build to the worst case scenario. Now, could the 100-year storm come in a couple of years? Absolutely. But that pond will be built to sustain it 75% better than any of our other ponds. So from a flooding standpoint, Lake Park, our front entrance pond would flood 75% sooner than theirs. So
Do you, I did a lot of high hazard dams in Wesley Chapel. Don't they have to have an emergency operations plan?
oh yeah,
And that has to be approved by the state people.
yeah, DWQ.
There's a lot of hoops and.
So they will have, they have to go through all
That's
of
just something
this.
they've got to do.
Yeah, that's nothing we have to do. But they have to provide the documentation that it's all done. The other thing is Lake Park is not taking over this pond. We do not want another stormwater pond. So every year they will have to have it certified that this pond is meeting all of the requirements. It's, doing everything it's supposed to be doing. And so it will not be that we own that and then we have to maintain it. They have to do that.
Who is they?
The HOA for the landings will have to do that.
Is it all in writing that they have to provide you with a report
Yes.
every year?
So we're working through things. And it's just a matter, you know, I just did not want you guys to say, well, I didn't know this. But, you know, at this point, it's all a process. And so we're working through the process. For example, we can do, you know, curbing is either straight up and out, or it's a roll curb. And if you look in Lake Park, we have both kinds of curbing. There's one section that with the roll curb, we could have 90-degree angles for stormwater to flow through, which is the optimal. So those kind of things will have to be changed. So, yeah, and you know, that's what we're paying Eagle to guide us with. But like for the second phase of stormwater, I just billed out 10.5 hours of engineering time to the landings to pay us for their engineering. So the town's not out any money, but we're making sure that we're dotting the i's and crossing the t's. So that's where we are. And
Are there, with respect to, let's say, their water permit, sewage permit, do we know where they are on any of that kind of stuff?
they are still working on that. They, I saw a second round come through the county. But as far as, I've not seen anything yet that says everything has passed. The fire marshal told them the roads and the structure of the roads, that has been approved. So, you know, there's just a lot of moving pieces yet.
Oh, yeah.
And as a matter of fact, Monday night, the county commissioners are having a special meeting to discuss the water sewer plans and what they're doing for capacity right now. So, you know, that's another moving piece to this. But I just kind of wanted to, since Jeremy asked for an update, I wanted to give you the latest on that. And then Ripple Fiber, all, to their knowledge, all the restoration has been completed on the right-of-ways owned by the village. If it has not, then someone needs to bring that to my attention, because to my knowledge, we're good there. Going live has really been a challenge for them. They're still working daily on getting NCDOT permits to run their main line from Indian Trail Road over to and up to Faith Church Road. They're making some headway, but they're at least a couple more months out. So they're not going live probably at this point till, I will be surprised if they go live before June. Just based on, you know, timing and you go, winter is typically our rainy season, and trying to put in cable and everything is just not an optimal time. The NIDs are still being installed, so you do see people out working, doing some of the runs directly to the house. We are past the point of free installation to the house, which was a $225 savings if you had it run to your house with the box. They're still working on some of those. Any questions?
Any questions for Sheree? Are there any projects?
My experience with them so far has been terrible. They put the run to the house on the wrong side, as I told them not to. So I've talked to them 2 or 3 times about moving to the other side. They've sent people out twice that speak English. I wanted to go dig back under my driveway, and I explained to them, you don't have to. That line runs all the way down the back of the house. They didn't understand it, or was it their role to do that, so they left. Talked to the guys out here at the event. They understood what needed to happen, and they were supposed to reach out to Teresa, and still hasn't reached out. So my experience so far is I would never buy their service.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll just make a comment. I brought it up to Bruce, and I'll just say the road Lake Park Road, they went across the street because they couldn't use their torpedo to go under it, so they had to dig the street. The tar, the blacktop is dropping, so they didn't compact the dirt right when they built it.
Can you give me an address for?
Crossover Conifer, headed just before McKinley, and it goes right across there.
So it's on Conifer?
On Lake Park Road.
Well,
between
Lake Park,
Conifer and
across
McKinley.
Lake Park Road. It's between Nelson's old house and the other house on the corner.
Thank you, sure.
Does anyone notice the dip on Faith Church Road out there? It seems like there's a dip. I know that's not our issue, but it seems like there's a dip in front of the townhomes. I noticed a couple of times, I was like, oh, this falling in, almost right in front of the church area.
There has been some settling, I've noticed
Yeah.
that, but it's nothing.
Got nothing we can do about it.
Oh,
It's
road needs to
Call
be-
NCDOT and.
like one day somebody's gonna drive it, will fall in.
Won't be road anymore, it'll be stream.
Brings us to item 21, communications, and item A is communications commission existence, and where that comes from is, I know we talked 2 years ago about what is the communications commissions? What are they to do, what were they set up to do, what are they doing now? We did keep it for 2 years, and then there's been individual conversations about, do we need to have the communications commission anymore? Mark, I turn it over to you to.
Well, first of all, now that we've set up the Twitter and we've gotten a lot more people looking at the Lake Park official Facebook page than we had before. I get these reports every now and then. I should probably just make it public with them. And like, for instance, in the last 28 days, the posting and the comments are up, 28% from what they were last month, or 32%, somewhere around there. So those things are being looked at. We're getting a little more followers slowly but surely on Twitter and Instagram. And needless to say, so those things are working. The far as and the newsletter, that's a communication thing, and that's good and all that, but that can be handled outside of a communications commission. About the only thing really left for the communication commission to do can be actually done outside of that commission. There's no need for a formal thing. There's 3 people who are on the communication commission, myself, Lori, and
Sharon.
yeah. And we met once 2 years ago. We haven't met since. The 2 things left to really have done would be to create a introduction letter for new residents so that they know where to go for this, that, and the other thing. As far as where the official Lake Park Facebook pages, the Twitter, this, that, and the other thing. Phone numbers for council, where they can go to get this, that, and that off the internet and whatnot, by the website. That's one thing I'd like to still do, but that can be done outside of the communications commission. The other thing is to create a website, maybe. These websites are fairly expensive. I mean, you're looking at probably $10,000 to $20,000 for a website. And I was gonna ask Cherie when she gets back to sit down with her and find out how she works the back end of our present website. I've been in contact with the gentleman who basically is the service guy for this website. And he and I are gonna get together after the first of the year to see what we can do with this website and make certain changes and see if that takes care of what we need, or bring it to you and say, this is the best we can come up with our present website. And let you guys decide if we want to do more. So when she gets back from her mending, I'll get with her and find out how she actually works the back end. And then I'll talk with this other guy and we'll work through it. Depending on the answer there, I think still it's probably at least a 2-man job to do the website, whether it's changes to the current website or whether it's creating a new website and rolling what we have onto it. Now, the old calendars wouldn't roll over, but current stuff and forward would. They're kind of overwhelming when you're trying to design a website because there's so many different ways you can go. And depending on the number of pages, how deep you want to get into these pages, and all kinds of stuff. So what I would like to do is work with Joe, if he's willing to, through technology, and kind of do it as a joint thing of me working with Joe in technology, and the two of us kind of addressing if we wanted to go that way.
I'm fine, like I've talked with you before, I'm fine with that, we've discussed this, I'm good with the technical end of it, I'm not real good on the creative end of it. So, which, I mean, you did a great job on the newsletter, so maybe together we can come up with something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I mentioned when we were talking, budget time about the website, I would rather us look into it and make sure that we're getting the most out of what we have now. And see, maybe even what we have now might even do what we need to be a better website, that we just don't even need to change it, you know? And when I brought that up, then you said, I'm sure he came in right away and said, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that we can do that we haven't done with it, so.
Yeah.
You know, there's,
Check it out.
and at the very least, we
I'll check
can
it out.
do our pictures up there and things like that.
Yeah.
Looks like there's girls on the run from like 2016 on there or something.
Yeah.
You just
With
need
pictures,
to.
you know.
Yeah, the guy
Send them
did
and have
mention to
time
me,
to
we can
post
change
it.
the pictures
Mhm.
out and everything like that. He did say that. And a lot of it's kind of like, can we change the button, so to speak, on the front page to where we can get a little more direct with a certain things, like the green quick links. Those are great. Perhaps, make them, my major thing is, let's say, for instance, we want to send somebody to the golf cart ordinance.
Mhm.
I want to be able to have a page that says Lake Park website, that, you know, the initial, the URL of the website, and / golf cart or something like that. And then go to a page where it basically has all the information you need about a golf cart. It's got the application link, it's got this, that, and the other thing. So that when I put these things in a newsletter, or I put these things on the Facebook pages and whatnot, it has a nice, very focused link. www.lakeparknc.gov/golf cart. Other than, you know, 5 lines of squigglies and numbers and percentage signs and everything else. That would be helpful. And that'd be another thing where you could put it into a introductory newsletter to new people coming in, to where it's nice and easy /golf carts or whatever. And that type of stuff. So I think that would be a good way to do it, to examine our current website, to see how much we can actually change it. And then make a determination after that, whether we wanted to pursue or stay with it.
Yeah, that's, most of what you're saying to do is relatively easy if you start from scratch. You know, and that's, you probably will have to do a lot of that, and that's part of where we have issues, where you have to click on something and it goes to another page where you have, you know,
Right,
several
yeah, I
other
agree with
things. And if you start from scratch, it's just like, you know, you get a new computer and you make a file, you know, I have a file on, you know, Lake Park 2023, and then ordinance review committee, and you go down with that, if you work with it all in order, you're great. But you start throwing this in and, oh, we're gonna do this, and then you got everything all over the place. And that's kind of, we have to, just years of putting everything together with it.
Right. But my idea there is, you know, we're talking $10,000-$20,000 to do something like that. And will people actually use it enough?
Oh, I'm not talking about restarting, I'm talking about restarting what we have at the same one and see what we can do.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a way to do that, you know, start categorizing it. I mean, the pages I worked with in the past, you could pretty much just go in and add, you know, folders.
In the long run, it's probably easier to continue with the.
Might be a little bit of work, and it might be some, you know, pretty much tearing down and starting from scratch, but.
Yeah,
that's
like my
about-
wife's real estate website, I create all these pages for different neighborhoods and
Mhm.
put whatever you want on there, and a link to this or a link to.
If you start off with a good map, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
If you start off with a good map, you start with this and then add on stuff, it becomes difficult, so.
Anyhow, I say, I'd like to make a motion, but let's talk about it first, about dissolving the communication commission. And then I continue on in my new, quote, roles, doing what I've been doing.
So before we make that motion, I just have a question.
Hmm?
Who owns the social media policies? In the past, the commission owned it. So who owns those?
No.
The commission
No.
exists.
No, council owned them.
Council owns them, but who monitors, change it, but who monitors those?
Those were done before by.
You mean if
law.
someone does something they're not
If
supposed to?
someone does something not supposed to, who's keeping, who's monitoring to make sure that not all of that stuff is made?
Well, I will say that these were done basically, I took this course with NC State back when I first started, you gave me the link and everything. And I took this course and basically it told you, I mean, it basically said, here's the model way to do it. And what's her name, Bowman?
Kristen.
Christie, she was in my position before me. And she, well, actually before Pam Jack was in. And she basically took that word for word and changed, the words like park or whatever. So basically that is that. The only thing that I question about that whole document is there's really no enforcement. There's no discipline for anybody who breaks any of the rules, that type of stuff. And I brought that up a long time ago. To where it doesn't say, now, if somebody's caught, doing stupid comments, because we're all responsible for our comments. And we should not be posting things that were basically village versus personal, da, 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 da. And, but if we got on there and just shoot out somebody or whatever, then we should be held accountable.
The only accountability to be held to, though, it just happened in Indian Trail, is a censure by council. Because there's no one member here can discipline another member.
Right.
So you can publicly censure the party, and that just happened in Indian Trail over social media.
But do we have that same idea here?
I think that's
how it would get brought up. I think that's how it would get brought up is if there was a storm, that's the word I've used tonight, that occurred, and somebody would bring it up and you'd have to have some discussion about it. There'd be some potential motion for censorship, of the person who did it and why, and let's hope you're never facing that. That could be a pretty volatile type dynamic, but I think that's the way it gets policed. Just internally or externally doing it as a council.
To answer back to your question, Jim, my take on it would be it's council's responsibility to police itself. And if there's an issue, we bring it up and we discuss it and work through it.
Okay.
Would be my thought.
One motion to the second.
Mark, you made a motion to dissolve the communications.
I said we should make a motion.
Sure.
So I'll make a motion to dissolve the real estate, or not real estate commission. My wife would be into that.
Wrong side of the coin.
Communications commission.
Mark's made a motion to
Sorry,
dissolve the
sorry.
communications commission.
I'll second.
Bruce seconded. Any further discussion? Steve, anything from you? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Newsletter information, you've got newsletter stuff.
If you guys got anything for me,
Might not be a bad idea to put in there something about the open fiber, that they finished up the work, and if there's any complaints to.
Bring it
so
to.
you don't think they're gonna be ready till June?
I wouldn't publish.
I would stay away from a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't step in
Just-
that there.
just-
But they're gonna start asking after the first year, because last we've said is January,
Yeah.
February.
Well, I would just say that due to permitting issues, they're running behind.
No fault of their own. Okay.
They changed the name to Ripple for a good reason. There's ripples in the water.
And what'd you say about, to mention?
The fact that they have completed all the work in the right of ways, and if
Oh, yeah,
there's any-
that's correct, yeah.
you have anything in front of your house or any problems,
They're still working on the nits there.
You want to state again, the golf cart permits go on sale January 1st, or sale, one word, available.
they're available now,
Yeah,
They're doing
December
now.
1st, yeah.
yeah.
But fishing permits go on sale.
Oh, we're back to fishing, all right. That's one of your favorites, I think.
Oh, yeah.
For more information, press 3.
Essentially, put a note in there that eventually
Or text.
you're going to call the main line, not the individual phone numbers. That's going to change. You want to wait a month for that.
Yeah, let's get all of our, everything out there, but I will send you an email with everybody's extension number if you want to put that in there. I prefer my number to be changed. I think everybody.
Yeah.
Going back and just mention this to you, with social archive and all that. when I was signing up for it and everything, they're just absolutely amazed for a city, a village, whatever, that they've never had a request for any of these comments or anything. I said, no, never. How long have you been in the city? 20 years. And yeah, they were just amazed that we've never had any requests for anything.
Is that a
Of course, I shouldn't have
challenge?
said that, huh?
It sounds like. Sounds like a little bit.
But yeah, as well, we should,
Right.
but I mean, just, we have a different type of community.
Item 22, adopt the 2024 calendars. You've got those before you. There's, the only thing that I know of that's kind of a difference from in the past would be PNR. The PNR meeting in May falls on Memorial Day, so we move that a week. Everything else is pretty standard.
Yeah, and the only other thing, if you look on the holiday schedule, we put this out, Sarah and I, after talking, decided that we would work Juneteenth Day to have an extra day at Christmas because of the way Christmas fell. So it's not that we're asking for an extra day, it's just, we did that, we shifted it, so I just.
I don't
put
see a
that-
problem with
Is there a motion to adopt the 2024 village municipal calendars?
Adopt as presented.
Jim made a motion.
I'll
Steve
second.
seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Council comments. We'll start with Steve.
Sure, congratulations, Jim, Bruce, Joe, and Jeremy. Good to have you guys back at the table, and you guys still being at the table. Appreciate that. Miss Sheree will remember you in our prayers here as you go in for your surgery. And Merry Christmas, everybody. You know, we won't meet again before then. So look forward to working with everybody. It's gonna be a great year.
Bruce?
Just want to say I'm glad to be back on board. I want to extend thanks to Steve and his wife for supplying us with donuts and everything. The day we were out here and trying to get people to vote for us. We didn't throw donuts at anybody, so no. And I'm glad we got the crew together, and I'm glad Jim's on board. That's about all I got for now.
Jim?
Well, I'll just echo the same that what Steve and Bruce had said. Merry Christmas to everyone, and also Happy New Year. Glad to be back.
Thank you for the confidence y'all instilled in me on electing me as mayor pro tem. I appreciate that, and I hope I do a good job for you guys. Sheree, best of luck with your surgery. Cheryl, once again, congratulations on the little one. Grandchild came in, so congratulations again. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Mark?
Basically what Steve and Joe and Bruce said, and congratulations, Sheree, prayers for your surgery and everything. Looking forward to having you back in perfect shape. And
She's going by
congratulations,
honor,
everybody,
she's doing.
for your reelection. And congratulations on becoming our new mayor. And Merry Christmas.
Cheryl?
I appreciate your congratulations. I have my third grandchild, a baby boy this time, so.
Great.
And I hope you all have a good Christmas and New Year's.
You did. Kim?
Congratulations to everybody that was elected, and congratulations to the new mayor. And I want to make sure I express my gratitude to all of you for having it previously and hopefully continuing forward, allowing me to serve you in the way that I do. I'm appreciative of it. My family's appreciative of it.
Appreciate what you do.
Sheree?
Well, I'm gonna say Merry Christmas. I will be out starting Monday. But my hope is to, at least the first week, I will be totally out. But then after that, I'm planning on working remote a couple of weeks. Because it's my right hip and you drive with your right foot, I have to get clearance from the doctor this time before he'll let me come back. But I've put word into Mike that worst case scenario, he can bring me here on the 9th of January. So we'll see. But anyway, thank you so much and I appreciate it. I hope y'all all have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I'm literally with my our new phone system, I'm a phone call away or a text away. So just the first week I'll really be out, but then the rest I'll be available. And Sarah's here and she can guide you through anything you've got. So, and we'll get your email up and live, should be tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
so we'll have that.
I would just like to thank everybody here at the table, staff and council for everything that you have done, will do, and continue to do. We talked a little bit ago about censorship and something that happened over next door, and Ken said that's a terrible road to go down. I hope we never have to face that, and I agree. And I say that to say there, that's one council away, one town over. There's a lot of dissension amongst that council. There's a lot of public dissension, there's a lot of private dissension, there's a lot of Facebook dissension, and it's terrible. It's recognized across the state. It is on the news of that dissension amongst their council. That's not something that I think this village has faced in the past, and I hope it's not something that we face in the future. We are all elected, you five in particular are elected to make decisions and vote. The mayor has no power. The mayor is a figurehead, a political figurehead that runs the meeting, sets the agenda, and works with staff. You five folks have the power to make the decisions, and this is the time to do it. It's in council meetings. I won't make every right decision, and I won't guide you right every time. I'll try my best, but I'll fail because I'm human. But I would hope that we can all pick each other up. We can be a team of one. We can move forward and continue to serve this village. I don't hope we can. I know we can. I know we will. But it's disheartening to hear things. If you think people don't talk, it's just disheartening to hear things, in particular about myself, from members of this room that are just not true. If you have a problem with me, come talk to him. If you have a problem with anything I say or do, come talk to him. We're all grown adults. And I'm no better, and I don't portray myself to be no better. In fact, I'm probably worse than everyone here. But we can do this, and we will do this. The people elected us all to be their voice. And when we're in these meetings, that's the time to do it. Don't leave here and then go say, well, we didn't talk about that, or you didn't say this. You all five of you have a vote. Please enact that. And I know you will. I will support and defend every one of you to the grave, because I'm a friend. Whether you believe it or not, I'm a friend. And I appreciate what you do. And I need you to do what you do. Merry Christmas. Thank you all. And God bless. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Bruce has made a motion. Is there a second? Mark second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Well, you had a cane.